How hard are you on yourself when you're falling short? How many times in life have you said, I should be doing more, I should be better, and it feels like I just continue to keep failing and nothing is going right in life? What's up, Thrive family? I'm your favorite cousin, Cowboy Jay. Welcome to the Thrive Podcast. So, today we're going to talk about grace. What is it to give yourself grace? We seem to give everybody else in our life grace. And what does it mean? And how can you turn those negative thoughts in your mind? How can you turn those into positives? So today, let's go over a few things. This video is for my moms out there, the wives, the husbands, the dads, the business owners. I hope that this video, I hope that this podcast can touch somebody. I hope that I'm able to get through and help you get over that hump that you're battling. So if you find this video helpful, I want you to send this video off to somebody else. Um, so let's get to it. Let's get to it. Let's get after it. So I wrote down a few things because over the past 2 weeks, I have been hearing my clients or just people that I talk to out in public just come across. Um, I've been hearing one thing in common, and it's a word that grace is something that I've been telling them that they need to have. It's not that they aren't showing up for themselves. They aren't showing up for the people that's around them. They're doing a lot. They're wearing a lot of shoes, wearing a lot of hats. So I think that we can, us as humans, we find ourselves giving so much grace, being so nice to everybody else that don't deserve that grace, or and they're not giving it to themselves. I know that we all have those higher expectations, we have higher standards, but we also have to look at it from what are you comparing yourself to? Who are you comparing yourself to? Nobody, nobody is the same. Just like your health and your fitness. I could give one person that we got two twins, identical twins. I give one twin that 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 firstborn, the one that came out first. I gave them 2,000 calories and told them to work out 3 days a week, and you don't have to do no cardio, and they can get the results that they want. But I can tell that B twin, hey, you eat 2,000 calories, you got to train 4 times a week, and you have to do cardio to get the same results that twin A got. So not everything is is the same. Not all rules fit for the same person. So for instance, I got 3 sisters. I'm the oldest. When my mama had to discipline me, she disciplined me in a way of, Jay, you aren't going outside. You can't go play with your friends. You can't go over your friend's house. A couple times, it was in middle school, and I kept being late. I was coming from PE, and I kept being late going to art class. So, and with me being late going to art class, like I was coming from PE, so we had to change. We sweaty, had to change clothes, do all of that, and we only had like maybe 5 minutes in between the bell because we played to the very end of class. We had to change, get back into our clothes, and get run all the way on the other side of the school to get to my art class. So because we were in health class doing physical activity and stuff like that. So, and if you had turn time, you knew we was at the very bottom on the opposite side of the school, and you know where the art class is, right there by the gym and all that. So you know it's on the opposite side. You got to climb steps, go all the way across the little walkway, breezeway, walk through or whatever, and just to get to the other side of the school. So I kept being late, kept getting detention. That's the only time I got in trouble. Well, I kept getting detention, and on that third time of me getting detention, my mama threatened me, "Hey, if you get detention again, you're walking home because I'm not coming to this school to get you." And not on purpose. I was late again, had detention, and my butt had to walk home. I had to walk home, y'all. And now, if it came down to my sisters, all my mama had to do was threaten them with, "You can't, you can't have that cell phone. You can't watch TV." That was pretty much all she could really threaten them with, because they didn't really care too much to go outside and play. They didn't, or one of their friends couldn't come over to the house. So it's a different styles of parenting. They're all your kids. Different styles of parenting. My mama had to threaten me, even though I wasn't a bad kid, but she had to threaten me in a different way for me to actually show up and listen. Versus my sisters, she had to tell them a different thing. In order for me to go out and do something, "Hey, Jay, you got to get these dishes clean. Got to make sure your room and your bed is made up." She could threaten me with that so I could go do that. If that wasn't done, I wasn't going to be able to do it. So she knew that me going out, hanging with friends, just going outside was so much more important than me not liking doing those dishes, making sure my bed was made, making sure my room was cleaned up. So that how she was able to raise me was in a different style of my sisters. My sisters didn't care about all that. So this comes back full circle of giving yourself grace. And when you're giving yourself grace, grace doesn't mean weakness. It means strength. Giving yourself grace when you don't feel like showing up to the gym, giving yourself grace when you might have to call out of work, giving yourself grace when you just don't feel like parenting today because you just have one of those. It's just one of those days. Like you done been through so much all at once, and you just need a couple hours to yourself. You got to be able to give yourself grace. So that doesn't mean just because you give yourself grace doesn't mean complacency. So, and I know that we're all trying to get ahead in life, trying to progress, especially if you're working a 9 to 5. You want to continue to keep that bank account going up instead of going down. When you're a business owner, you want to make sure that that business is steady coming in and not getting stagnant. So I totally understand where y'all coming from because I've been there in every aspect. I battle these same things too, and I can get in my own head. So that's why this really is touching home today because there's a lot of things in my life where I had to give grace, where I was giving grace not for others, but I had to give grace to others to others, but in return it was for me. Um, so that shows your strength, that patience and compassion for yourself while you're still growing. That's what grace is. You're still growing, but you've just been a little bit more patient. You've just been a little bit more gracious with yourself, but you still have that strength. You still have that strength. So let's break it down into just some everyday language. So grace is giving yourself room to be human. We're all human. We're not perfect. So give yourself room to be human. Grace is progress over perfection. So a lot of y'all, you hear me say, I'd rather you be Consistently great over occasionally perfect. And let me give you that into numbers for my analytical people. I'd rather you be 80% 7 days a week than 10% 2 days a week. I mean, no, I said that wrong. I'd rather you be 80% 6 days a week, 7 days a week, than 100% 2 days out of the week. So when you're more consistent with showing up, giving that 80% of what you got each and every day, you're not perfect, but you can be great. When I can be 80% 6, 7 days out of the week, 5 days out of the week, I'd rather take that. That's that consistently great over you being 100% perfect only 1 or 2 days out of the week. You're not that's like taking 2 steps forward and taking 5 steps backwards. But instead, we can take 2 steps forward and take 1 step back. 2 steps forward and take 1 step back. All right. So you just got to, that's where giving yourself that grace, because grace is not quitting. Grace is giving yourself room to breathe. Grace is giving yourself enough time to think. So you're able to pause so you can continue stronger. You can continue to pause. You will pause. It's giving yourself that room to just stand still, just to breathe. Giving yourself that little rest break, as if you were working out. You just hit 100 reps of push-ups, 100 reps of push-ups, and you're supposed to be going to 200. But that grace lets you rest for that 10 seconds to shake your arm out, for that 20 to 30 seconds to shake your arm out, to catch your breath, to get right back into it and kill another 100. All right. So let me speak specifically to my moms on this one. I understand that there's a lot of pressure, probably that you inflict on yourself, to be everything for everyone. I understand it. I know that there's pressure. I got a mama. I got a grandma. I got a wife. I got a mother-in-law. I got sisters. And I know that with me getting ready to have my baby girl on the way, that one day she will go through it. So this video is for her too, one day when she becomes a mom. And I know that moms, y'all have that mom guilt, and you feel like you're exhausted. You feeling like that you're not doing enough. Again, who are you comparing yourself to? Because from my eyes, from my perspective, you're doing a lot. You're great. You're great. So, and I know that it's easy. We always compare. That's why I bring that back, because we're always comparing ourselves. That's how we usually know how good are we actually doing, how bad are we actually doing. But when you find yourself scrolling on social media and you find yourself judging based off what maybe your parents done for you and your siblings, and then you're trying to compare that to what you're doing for your kids now, that's where that guilt, because you might think that like nobody's life is the same. Nobody's going through the exact same thing. And as a parent, as a dad, as a husband, I know that from a day to day, from week to week, there's nothing the same, especially when you're holding, when you're carrying, when you're wearing a lot of hats. So for y'all, grace looks like resting without shame. Like my wife, Kenzie, she beats herself up because she does a lot for us. She's a full time mom, 24/7, because Luca does not go to daycare. She's killing it in real estate. She's a only child, so she's always there for her parents. She's there for her grandparents. She's there for my mom. She's there for my sister. She's there for me and her friends. That's a lot of hats that you gotta wear. She helps me out with my business. So that's a lot of hats that she's wearing, and she beats herself up when the clothes aren't folded, when the laundry isn't done, when she didn't fold up one blanket that we got for the couch, when Luca's toys isn't put up soon as he gets through. Although we have a very clean house, she still beats herself up over that. And me being the husband that I am, me being who I am, and you know I gotta give her some motivational, inspirational. Give yourself grace because you're doing a lot. And I'm telling you, as your husband, to give yourself grace. Go rest. Because you aren't, when you, as a husband, as a dad, as my wife's best friend, as someone that she looks up to, I tell her these things because in order for her to be her best for me and everybody else and everything else that's dependent on her, I need her to have that rest time, to have that mental, that physical break. Because she's wearing so many hats, so there's a lot of energy being taken out. And plus, she's pregnant on top of it. So, ladies, you got to learn to be patient with yourself. You got to learn to give yourself grace. And fellas, you got to show up even more during those times. Fellas, us just going to work and coming back home isn't enough. And for the dads that's showing up, that's doing even more. Hey, fellas, it's a great feeling when I could tear up because it's an amazing feeling when we show up the way we know we can show up, and we show up when our woman is beating herself up and she's carrying a lot, and we're taking some of that load off her, taking all that load off her. But it's even more amazing when you're in tune with your woman. When you're in tune with your woman and you're already able to answer, and you're able to you're able to answer and complete everything before she even knows that she needs it. You get what I'm saying? I hope that makes sense. So, ladies, I need you to ask for help. Ask your man for help. If you got some family members that's around, that's present, friends, ask for help. You ain't in this alone. You ain't in this alone. And it's okay to admit, dang, today was a tough day. Today was tough. But guess what? You got through it. How many times have we just said this was the worst day, this was a bad day, and you got through it, you showed up tomorrow. You got strong. If you got through that day, you got strong, you got better. And it wasn't as bad. So grace for my moms is understanding you don't have to pour from an empty cup to prove your love, to prove how worthy you are. All right. And like one of my clients today, She said that her cup was empty. No, baby. No, baby. No, your glass is half full. Whether your glass is half full or half empty, it can still be filled. Mm. Ah, yeah, yeah. I Whether your glass is half full or half empty, it can still be filled. That's the attitude. That's where giving yourself grace. That's where give yourself grace to pause, to take a second, to take a, and then foot on the gas. Be a dog. All right? So now, grace for my husbands and my dads. Grace for my husbands and my dads. We carry a lot of weight of making sure that we're providing, we're leading, and we're protecting. And with that comes a lot of emotional burnout that we don't talk about, because sometimes we might be told to hold it in. We might be told to toughen up. Don't be a punk, and don't complain. But when you give yourself grace and you're able to talk through those things, that's not a sign of weakness. That's a sign of strength. And one thing that I've learned from my wife early on is that I never wanted to see anybody see me cry. I never wanted to show weakness. I always thought it was weakness. But my wife taught me, Kinsey, she taught me how to express my emotions. So how to communicate, because I've always held it in. I never wanted to be the one to complain. I thought expressing my emotions was that was complaining. And to this day, I still don't complain, but I've learned how to communicate if something isn't going right. Is it everything? No, because I keep a lot in. But I'm able to shed a tear. I'm able to communicate with her my feelings. So then that way she is able to help me when I only have 10%. And I need to be at 100. Sometimes I need my wife's 90. I need that help. And it's okay, fellas, if you need that help. That don't mean that you're weak. If anything, that shows you that maybe you can improve in certain areas, but that shows you how strong you truly are to still shed a tear, wipe that tear, get back and keep moving. Get back up and keep moving. All right? So for us, fellas, that grace looks like admitting that struggle, being imperfect, but being present. My wife likes to tell me that I'm perfect, and I'm perfect for her, and that I'm perfect. But I know that I'm imperfect, but I'm present. I'm showing up each and every day. I'm there. I ain't I ain't the one to tell my wife no, unless I really truly have to. I could probably count how many times on my hands in 11 years I actually had to tell her no. But that's choosing to grow instead of judging your past mistakes. So a lot of us thinks that when the score, when we're down, it is 100 to 95. Our opponents is up. We think that when that time hits zero and it's the end of the game, that we always think that is considered a loss. I actually think that if you failed, if you failed at something and you didn't win at anything, that isn't a loss. Because the way I approach it is that as long as I learned something from that game, something from that mission that I was on, I'm a winner. Because I learned, I take it back to the drawing board, analyze it, and I get back out and I apply what I learned from that loss. Because you only a quitter, you only technically become a failure when you give up. And we ain't in the we ain't living a life of giving up, of quitting. So real leadership isn't never failing, it's failing and still choosing to show up. It's not being the perfect dad, it's not being the perfect husband. It's being a great husband, it's being a great dad. And through those ups and those downs, through having a hard day at work, through being having to get on somebody, or having to fire somebody, or getting fired, and still coming back home, showing up, giving being able to compartmentalize for our woman, for our children, and everybody else that's dependent on us. That's grace. So continue to keep showing up, fellas. Continue to keep showing up. That's real leadership. And fellas, I need y'all to start leading. I need y'all to start leading, whether you have a strong, dominant woman and she might so-called wear the pants. That doesn't make you a weak man. You got to know your strengths and your weaknesses, and you should know your wife's strengths and weaknesses. You can all lead. Both of you can lead. But as a man, you should be leading. You should be leading. Regardless if you make the most money or you make the least amount compared to your spouse. You should show up every day and lead, because a woman, I don't care who she is, she loves a strong man. She loves a man that knows what he wants. He might not have everything that he wants, but what you want, your vision, your dream, a strong woman will support you. A strong woman will support you, fellas. So keep showing up. Keep choosing you, keep choosing them, and keep being great. Not perfect, be great. For my business owners and my leaders, hustle culture versus sustainable growth. I get myself in trouble. Me and my wife get ourselves in trouble because we've been. You can see ourselves you can see people on social media, and sometimes you want what they want, but you forget that you probably got more than what they got. We forget that the life that we got is an amazing life, through our ups and our downs and everything that we done been around. And we want, but we forget how young we actually are. And we want what people got in their 50s, 60s, 70s. But we are in a great, amazing place right now in life. And we couldn't be more happy, but that's where that hustle culture can get you in trouble. And it will make you forget to appreciate what you have right now, where you are right now, where you're going, what you've been through. And knowing that this isn't the end, that this is just the beginning. And so that's what we've been working on these past few years, is that, and when we don't compare ourselves to just anybody, it's usually people that is a lot older than us. So then just to help us envision what we want to be, what we want to do in life, to help, because I mean, you want to learn from people's mistakes, and I'm a good person. That's something I've always done. I've always, whether it's in relationships, it's business, it's parenting, any and everything, any and every endeavor, I always look at what people do good, what people do bad. You know, some people say a hard head makes a soft ass. So I actually use that literally, so that I'm not making all the same mistakes that everybody else has. I'm listening, I'm learning. I'm not the loudest in the room. Most of the time, I'm the quietest in the room. I might be smiling, might giggle, might laugh, but I'm usually probably the quietest, because I'm always observing, I'm listening, I'm learning, especially when there's a room full of people that's older than me that has a lot more wisdom. Whether that wisdom is good or bad, I take certain pieces from everybody that I come around. So I think that's a good thing to be able to do, and know that as long as you're growing every year, some years you're going to have bad years, especially in business. You're going to have bad years. You're going to have bad seasons. So beating yourself up, that can't happen. Now, if you're not doing what you're supposed to and you're failing, then that's all on you. Then there really ain't much grace in that. But if you're doing what you're supposed to, and you can't help what the market is. So I train a lot of real estate agents, and I train a lot of uh, business owners. So with that being said, these people are all in the service serving other people. So we can't make other people make certain decisions that we want them to make, because if you in stocks, you already know how the market flows up and down. It's the same way when you are in business for yourself and you're working with the general population. So we can't beat ourselves up when we're doing everything that we supposed to and more, and it still isn't going our way. It's just saying, hey, God got a plan for us. As long as we're doing what we supposed to each and every day, we have to believe and have faith and know that just keep our head down, keep going, stay steady, and things will work out. And a lot of my clients are really realizing this. I've realized this lately. So just that fear of slowing down can mess with somebody's head. Um, and slowing down, honestly, if we use that to our benefit, slowing down is just saying if business slows down, that lets us make sure the clients that we do have in that moment in time, we're giving them everything and more. But that's also a time where we can re, re reconstruct the business. That's where we can go out and learn a few more things, because we should be learning something new every day to make sure that the mental stays progressing and getting better. That's where our training comes in, our working out, our nutrition, to make sure we're getting better and improving each and every day. And don't fall in the trap of trying to compare yourself to somebody. You can compare yourself and use that in a positive, but don't let that tear you down mentally, physically, spiritually. Compare yourself and let that build you up. Build you up in a good way. All right. So grace is accepting that your worth is not tied to your revenue. You're worthy. You're worthy of more. Be grateful that you are where you are, and know that it could be worse. And know that if we made 300,000, 300K this year, and last year we made 400K, that 100K difference is not devaluing ourselves. That's just, hey, I busted my tail this year. I killed it. I showed up. Honestly, I probably showed up even more. But the market that we're in, the business that we are in, we have to be patient. We have to give ourselves grace, because we know that we're working with the general population and we can't control those things. So not every day will be productive for a lot of us. And mistakes are feedback. If you use your mistakes as feedback and not to identify who you are, and that's not your identity through those mistakes that you made, then that's a lot to learn from that. That's a lot to gain from that. So use that rest, use those downtimes in a more strategic way, and not be lazy. All right. Grace in marriage. So this is for my wife, Kenzie Vance Williams. These are for the couples out there. Grace allows, and I'm speaking to myself as well, grace allows space for growth, vulnerability, healing. And we should always try to heal from within. We always should try to grow together, because in marriage, there's one person and one person. They come together. There's 1 + 1. So they say it's 2. That 1 + 1 is 1, because you're coming together. You're coming together as one. So patience in the process is required in marriage. Patience in the process of growing together is required in marriage. And there has to be some type of softness, some type of emotional e- e- emotions that I ain't saying softness as in you need to be soft, but you got to be a little bit more careful, especially when there's conflict, because through conflict we shouldn't be arguing. Because there, if you're arguing, 9 times out of 10, somebody is trying to win. But if you're going through an argument and both of you know you're expressing your feelings, you can do that. Express them. Do it without all the cussing. Do it without all the yelling. And know that nobody is a winner here. Know that once we get through this right here, we're not going to bed mad. We're gonna get through this. We're gonna talk about this before going to bed. Let's get through it. Sometimes there might be conversations where you're not going to bed mad, but the conversation wasn't over. That you might have to put it on pause to make sure you get your thoughts through, and sleep on it to make sure you come back into that same conversation the next day, thoughtful, better, respectful, and all those things, so you can grow through it. Because as couples, as married couples, and if you're not married and you're looking to be married, you're going to have to be able to give your partner some grace, because your expectations, or and you're trying to get into a relationship, we all have these expectations and standards that when your partner doesn't follow suit, your partner doesn't show up the way that you think they can, or that the way that they should have, or what your expectations for them was, then that's where the conflict happens. But we have to remember that we're all humans and that we're not perfect. So that's where that grace comes in. That so when your husband has a hard day at work and you might need him for a certain thing, that's making sure you communicate before you start jumping down his throat for him to do these things around the house. This is making sure that maybe you help him out with certain things. Fellas, that's making sure that you help her out with certain things before you think that you are going to get a hot meal every night, before you're going to get your plate made for you. Sometimes we got, as men, and I'm saying this strictly as to men, we got to do more. You should be willing to do more. I love doing more for my wife. Because guess what? I've always said, if my wife ever left me, she's downgraded no matter who she goes to, because nobody's going to treat her the way that I treated her. Nobody's going to give her what I gave her. And it ain't about the money. It's about everything else. It's about the happiness that I give her each and every day. It's about the joy that I bring to her, the love that I give her and show her, and just the way that she know that I got her. That's the leading, that's protecting, that's that providing, outside of what my purpose is in life that doesn't involve her. So that's being able to compartmentalize and be able to be there for her when her emotions are so high and she needs a shoulder to cry on. When she's going through everything and I'm taking so much off her plate. She got 10 things on her plate and I'm taking all 9, and all she got to do is focus on that one. That's making sure that I might have to take more poopy diapers. That's making sure, and I hate it. I throw up. Y'all done seen videos of me. I take some of those, the brute end of those diapers, because she needs my assistance. So keep showing up, fellas. Keep showing up. Do more. Do more. Do more. When you think that you've done enough, do more. All right, we got it. But that's where that physical, that's where you being in the gym, that's where your nutrition comes in. And because a lot of y'all ask me, how are you able to do so much? How are you able to keep going and have so much energy? It's because I take care of my mind, I take care of my body, and I take care of my spirituality, so that I can have the strength to do all those things. Love isn't found in perfection. It's built in forgiveness and understanding. Love isn't found in perfection, it's built in forgiveness and understanding. So faith and grace, let's tie it back to God, that higher power. And grace is how God sees you. All right. Grace is how God sees you. You don't earn it, you receive it. You don't earn grace, you receive grace. For me, it was, there's times where dad wasn't there for parts of my life. Really, after fourth grade, he didn't show up at all. Um, there was times where he said he would come get me, go shoot ball, go play. He'd come pick me up or something. And I prayed for him to show up. And I prayed for that time with him. And it didn't happen. So I couldn't get mad at God. I was mad at him. But what I had to ask for was forgiveness. I had to ask for grace, to be able to forgive him, to be able to have the strength to keep moving forward and not let that bring me down, and make sure that I continue to show up there for my mom and my sisters. Love my dad. Love him. Of course, he ain't here no more. But I had to give myself grace because I don't know what he was going through. Great dude. Great dude. I ain't got nothing to say about him, bad about him. Nobody I come in contact with, they all loved him. It's just that he just wasn't there. So for whatever reason, and for me to turn out the way that I did, I really wouldn't change anything. And I always wish, and I got friends that got dads, and their dads are there, and I see their relationships and love it, love it. But I think this also made me who I am today, to allow me to have the wisdom that I have today, to have the strength and the power that I have today, to give myself grace, to show grace to myself, to him, and to everybody else around me, to keep moving forward each and every day. And it ain't that every day that I got it right. It's just that when you're able to give yourself grace, you're able to forgive yourself, but for also forgive the people that surround you. That gives you strength. That gives you strength. And if you have the opportunity, if God gives you the opportunity to offer grace, to have grace each and every day, why do you refuse to give it to yourself? Because you can give so many people that do you wrong, you give them another chance. That's grace. Your boss then cussed you out. Your boss then made you work overtime. You didn't receive the pay that you wanted. You didn't get all the benefits that you wanted. You didn't receive what you wanted, but you gave grace because you showed right back up. Your husband, your wife, your friend, they do you wrong. They make a bad decision that you didn't agree with. You give everybody else that grace, but you aren't giving yourself grace when things aren't going the way that you want it to. So what I want you to do is control your controllables. Do what you can. And the controllables, your controllables, is like this light right here. Turn it on and off. These are your controllables. We change in the light. Control the controllables. All right? Control the controllables. And sometimes a button just don't work. Sometimes a button just don't work. Let's see. Sometimes life is just moving just as fast as those lights. And those buttons isn't working. So sometimes you gotta be patient. Give yourself grace to then to take a breath, to breathe. I hope that made sense. I'm gonna keep this in this video. I hope that made sense. But if it didn't, it's okay. We'll try again later. But it made sense in my head. That's all that matters. So what I'm saying is, sometimes in life we beat ourselves up without giving ourselves that grace. But we are so, because of who you are and what you are, you're able to give it to others because of the type of person that you are. But you got to remember that you're a human too. And you have to show up for yourself 100 times more than you show up for the people that's around you. Why? Because you can't pour from an empty cup. Your glass might be half filled, it might be half empty, but remember, if your glass is empty, you cannot pour anything. You can be poured into. And that pouring into is making sure that you're strength training 2 to 4 times a week. You're eating your protein, wherever that protein is coming from. You're loving yourself to get you to where you want to be. You're sleeping, you're recovering to get that stress off of you. You're controlling the controllables. All right, in your life. You're controlling the controllables in your life, y'all. And when things aren't going your way, you just gonna sit back, give yourself grace and breathe till it all works out. All right. And when things aren't going your way, then that just means that God, it just wasn't in your plan. It just wasn't in your plan. So why are you getting upset if it didn't work out? It's okay. So like sometimes, like, just think about it. How I look at certain things, you're on an airplane, you got your flight got delayed. 2 hours later, you look back and it said that that flight, it was an ice storm. It was a storm or something, anything. Uh, they had to fix something on the plane. Electrical thing happened. And we get so upset that our flight got delayed in that moment. But if you sit back and you breathe, oh, there's a reason why. It's good that it didn't, because anything could have happened. Anything bad could have happened, but instead, I'm still here. I'm still showing up. I'm here talking to you today. So let's give y'all a couple takeaways that you can apply immediately. Replace I fail with I'm learning. Speak to yourself like you would your children. Pause before harsh self-talk. Before you talk bad about yourself, pause. Think. Schedule rest without guilt. And I have a hard time doing that myself. Pray for patience instead of perfection. That one hit. That one hit. So remember, grace is not an excuse. Grace is fuel. Grace keeps you consistent instead of burnt out. You don't have to be perfect to be powerful. Grace is the bridge between who you are and who God is shaping you to become. Grace is the bridge between who you are and who God is shaping you to become. I love y'all. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and comment. I want y'all to send this video over to somebody. I hope y'all learned something today. So thank y'all for tuning in to the Thrive podcast. Remember, I'm your favorite cousin, Cowboy Jay. I love y'all. I'll see y'all on the next one.